9 specific strengths that matter more than anything else. You don't need to know everything, just these. And here's the catch. Most of them will feel uncomfortable at first. They'll push against your habits, your conditioning, even your instincts. Not because you're flawed, but because we live in a world that has trained men to move away from what makes them strong, that has slowly stripped men of their edges, dulled their fire, and trained them to bow more than they stand. One kind of man still lingers in the mind, etched like a blade into memory. He is not loud, but when he speaks, people listen. He does not chase women, but they remember him years after he's gone. He does not waste his energy proving who he is, because every action reveals the weight of his presence. This man does not crumble to fit comfort, nor twist himself to win approval. He is not forged in flattery but in fire, not because he lacks warmth, but because he refuses to lose shape in a world that demands men shrink. He is the rare one, the unshakable, the unmoved, the unforgettable. A man like this doesn't speak loudly, but he leaves echoes. He doesn't beg for approval, he commands presence. And though his face may be silent, his energy roars. And that is exactly why this message matters more than ever now, because we are watching the disappearance of strong men in real time. We're living through a drought of masculine leadership, where loyalty is mocked, discipline is seen as outdated, and men are told to dull their fire to be more palatable. But the world has never needed grounded, forged men more than it does today. What follows are 9 strengths, 9 ancient primal codes that make you unforgettable to women and unshakable to the world. You won't find them in trend videos or self-help quotes, but once you live them, you'll never need to chase again. 1. Emotional stoicism. He sat across from her in the flickering half-light of the cafe. She was upset, pacing through her words like a storm across rooftops. Her emotions, raw and real, poured out like rain. But he didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix. He didn't flinch. He simply listened, eyes steady, posture still. When she paused, something changed in her face. Her guard dropped, because she realized this man wouldn't be rattled. He could hold her chaos without becoming it. She tests you, not because she's cruel, but because her biology demands it. At her core, she's wired for survival, for security, for strength. She may not even realize it, but she is constantly scanning, feeling, asking herself if the man in front of her can be leaned on when the world collapses. A man who breaks under pressure, who becomes emotional chaos in response to hers, sends a message. She is not safe. But the one who absorbs the storm without becoming it, that man becomes the rock she reaches for. 2. Mission-first mentality. He woke before dawn, not because he had to, but because he must. The world was quiet, the stars still watching. While others slept wrapped in comfort, he carved his vision into reality. She'd called the night before, wanting time, wanting him to drift with her into distraction. But he declined, gently, firmly, because his mission wasn't something he flirted with. It was something he bowed to. There is no romance stronger than a man with a clear purpose. When a man lives with vision, when his daily actions are aligned with something greater than comfort or approval, he becomes magnetic. Purpose gives him direction. It sharpens his decisions, it filters his distractions, and it tells the world exactly where he's going, with or without their applause. And women feel that. They sense the difference between a man who waits to be chosen and one who has already chosen his path. When your goals are non-negotiable, when your time is treated like currency, you move differently. And in that movement, the right women don't feel left behind. They feel inspired to walk beside you. The wrong ones will try to compete with your mission. The right one will help protect it, prioritize vision, and the rest reveals itself. 3. Controlled danger. They were walking home when a stranger barked an insult at her. She flinched. He didn't. He turned his head slowly, eyes locked, body relaxed. voice calm. The stranger backed off, not because he was loud, but because danger hummed beneath his stillness. That primal tension, like a lion who knows he doesn't need to roar to rule. You don't need to roar to be feared. You don't need to strike to be respected. Controlled danger is not about aggression. It's about capacity. A man who can go dark but chooses light. A man who can destroy yet builds. The controlled predator is far more attractive than the passive sheep. She's not looking for cruelty. She's looking for capability. The masculine edge is not polished, it's sharpened. 4. Deep silence. The fire crackled between them. She talked. He listened. Then silence stretched. Most men would rush to fill it, make a joke, ask a question, but he sat still, gazing into the flame. He wasn't trying to impress. He wasn't afraid of quiet. And in that space, she saw something. A man not built of noise, but of depth. Most men fill space with noise, with empty laughs, with nervous talk. They avoid the silence like the plague. But the man of weight sits comfortably in silence. And in that silence, he says more than 1,000 words ever could. Women feel the gravity of a man who is not desperate to impress. They lean in. They search for the story behind your stillness. Deep silence is not absence. It's presence, refined. 5. Unshakable boundaries. She crossed a line, just a small one, a dig masked as a joke, a test. Most men would laugh it off, but he didn't. His smile faded, his gaze held, and calmly he said, "Don't speak to me like that, not with anger, with truth." She went quiet, because that moment told her more than hours of sweet talk ever could. This man knew what he stood for. If you don't guard your kingdom, don't cry when it's invaded. Boundaries are not barriers to connection. They are proof you value yourself. When you say no calmly and firmly, you tell the world what you stand for. Women are not repelled by this. They are magnetized, because a man with boundaries is a man who can lead. And leadership begins at the edge of what you won't allow. 6. Selective attention. At the gathering, eyes followed him, but he didn't chase them back. He was courteous, warm, but never indulgent. When she tried to pull his full attention, he gave her moments, not everything, and in that restraint, he became rare. Because most men are floods. He was a stream, clear, precise, and flowing only where he chose. Attention is currency. The more freely you give it, the more you devalue it. A man who is selective with his gaze, his time, his energy, this is a man of mystery and worth. Women don't want men who chase everyone. They want the man who makes them earn it. But this goes beyond attraction. In the modern world, at work, in leadership, in social settings, the man who is always available, always accessible, loses weight. People assume you have nothing going on. No mission, no edge. Think about it. The people we value most are the ones who are harder to reach. Not because they're rude, but because their time is spoken for. Perception becomes reality, and in a world built on noise, selectivity equals status. You don't need to lie, but you also don't need to broadcast your availability. Let them wonder where you are, what you're building, who you're becoming. Make yourself scarce, not by hiding, but by choosing where your energy flows. The woman who earns your attention will feel it. Your team will respect it. And your life will finally start to orbit around your mission, not distractions. Selective attention is not arrogance, it's clarity. It's knowing that not every moment, not every woman, and not every opportunity deserves your focus. 7. Non-reactivity. They were arguing. Her voice rose, emotions flaring, desperate to pull a response. But he didn't rise to meet the heat. He stood calm, grounded, as if her waves broke against a mountain, and that made her pause. Because his stillness wasn't apathy, it was control. It was the power of a man who decides how he feels, not one who lets the world decide for him. You will be tested. She will raise her voice. Life will punch you in the gut. You'll be tempted to react, to match fire with fire, to prove you're not to be underestimated. But the man who breathes, observes, and responds with control, he becomes unshakable. That's the calm inside the chaos, the eye of the storm. And it doesn't just attract women, it earns the respect of everyone around you. Because in a world built on triggers, reactivity is weakness. Men who can't control themselves are easily manipulated by people, by news, by pressure. But non-reactivity, that's leadership. It's clarity under fire, it's power without panic. Women do not follow noise, they follow stillness. And the world follows men who don't flinch. Non-reactivity isn't passivity, it's supreme control. It's what makes her surrender to your lead, and what makes you capable of leading far more than just her. 8. Mystery without pretending. She asked about his past. He smiled but said little. She pushed for more. He offered her a riddle, not lies, not games, just a rhythm, a man who didn't unfold on command. And it wasn't resistance, it was royalty. Because a man who values himself knows, not every truth is for everyone. She didn't leave, she leaned in deeper. You don't need to fake mystery, just stop trying to be understood. Stop trying to explain every scar, every thought, every feeling. Let her earn your truths. Let her discover your depths in silence and time. Mystery is not about lying, it's about holding your essence with dignity. And here's the key. Mystery works when it's real, when it comes from being deeply grounded in who you are, not from pretending to be someone you're not. Because the moment you act mysterious to impress her, you've already broken frame. Women crave a man who has layers, because that means he lives for himself, not their validation. A man who doesn't unfold all at once. Be that man. 9. Consistency over intensity. He didn't come with fireworks, no sudden promises, no burning confessions or sweeping gestures, just a steady beat, consistent actions, firm presence, quiet discipline. He showed up when he said he would. He listened more than he spoke. He chose his word with precision and kept it without fail. Day after day, while others dazzled briefly and disappeared just as fast, he stayed the course. His rhythm never wavered. He didn't need attention to stay motivated, and he didn't collapse when no one clapped for him. And in that consistency, she began to relax. Because chaos is exciting, but it doesn't build trust. What builds trust is showing up every day, the same way, in the same strength. In that rhythm, she felt something no storm could give her: safety. Intensity can impress. It's flashy, it's loud. It makes a moment feel electric, but it's also unstable, unpredictable, and short-lived. What builds something real, something she trusts, is not what explodes, but what endures. Consistency builds legacy. It's the man who shows up every day, especially on the days he doesn't feel like it, that becomes irreplaceable. Women fall in love with rhythm. They find security in repetition. They notice when you keep your word, not because it's convenient, but because it's who you are. Consistency says, I know who I am. I don't need permission to be steady, and that creates trust not only in her, but in everyone around you. Don't chase highs, don't wait for the mood. Build the rhythm, become the high. Consistency is king. These strengths are not learned in books. They are not something you read about once and absorb. They are forged brutally in silence, in failure, in fire. They are born when you hold the line while everything in you wants to fold. When you stay disciplined in the dark, when no one is watching and no one is clapping. That's where real masculinity lives. You become this man by shedding everything weak about you, not in one big moment, but one cut at a time. Every excuse killed, every reaction mastered, every shortcut refused. You don't chase her. You don't beg her to understand. You don't shrink to make her feel safe. You become the kind of man who doesn't ask for respect because he commands it just by existing. And it's not just about women. It's about how you walk into rooms, how you lead, how you show up when things fall apart. Because the man who has built himself like this, he's not moved by praise or pressure. He is still, certain, grounded. Women feel it, men recognize it. The world bows to it. Become that man and never look back. Today, choose one of the strengths to work on. Don't try to master everything overnight. Pick just one strength. Apply Stoic silence with her. Hold your mission under her gaze. Fortify your boundaries. Say no when it's inconvenient. Remain calm when it's easier to react. Show up when you don't feel like it. That's where it begins. And here's the truth, it compounds. Like stone stacked daily, like steel sharpened again and again. Effort adds up. You won't feel it at first, but in weeks, in months, the change becomes visible. In your voice, in your walk, in the way others respond to you. When a man becomes substance, he can't be ignored. Not just by women, but by the world. He becomes weight, gravity, certainty. Forge one strength, observe the transformation, then claim the next. Day by day, rep by rep. Rome wasn't built in a day, neither is a man. And when you've walked this path long enough, don't forget to reach back. Help the next man, pass the torch. The world needs more of us. Stand firm, not just for yourself, but for the ones watching you who don't yet have the words. The world doesn't beat men, it reveals them. Become the man drawn not by chaos, but by what repels it.